When the pandemic began, there was a rush to produce vaccines to fight COVID-19.
Yeah, you might remember that I've been actually part of the Moderna vaccine trial here in Tucson. Exactly 2 years later, that trial is coming to an end.
I think we'd have to call it a huge success.
Dr. Jack McGettigan led the Tucson portion of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine trial. He deems the trial a success.
There it is.
You are all done.
That was me back on September 1st of 2020, receiving my second of 2 vaccine doses at Quality of Life Medical and Research Center near TMC. I was fortunate. It turns out I did receive the vaccine. In the double-blind trial, half of the 30,000 participants received the vaccine, the other half a placebo. Nearly 1,000 of the participants in Moderna's nationwide trial were right here in Tucson.
We were fortunate we were the top enrolling site in the United States, thanks again to Tucson and the huge outpouring of help.
2 years after the start of the trial, McGettigan tells me the Moderna vaccine did its job well. As the trial ends, from my perspective, it did its job. To my knowledge, I never got COVID. Dr. McGettigan says nobody in the Tucson portion of the Moderna trial ended up with a serious case of COVID, and no one ended up in the hospital.
Which was what we were hoping for. Obviously, we'd love for people not to have gotten it at all, but when they did get it, and the people I saw, their symptoms were just so minimal, relatively speaking, that we were all very grateful that that's how it turned out.
Some have criticized the vaccines for not preventing more cases of COVID. McGettigan says the vaccine did what the trial set out to prove.
The fact that so many people were not hospitalized, were not on ventilators, didn't die, that's a success.
As the Moderna trial does come to an end, so does my participation. It's possible Moderna might break from protocol and actually release our individual data to each individual in the trial. I'd like to see just how the vaccine and booster actually boosted my antibodies against COVID. So we'll see. I'd like to see that. Might be a year or 2 down the road before we get to see that data.
Here's the way I look at it. You never got COVID.
That's right.
So something worked.
And that was phenomenal that nobody in the Tucson trial ended up in the hospital that was on the vaccine.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing results.
Yeah.